Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to this online weekly English satsang of Vihangam Yoga. And this will be the first session of this year. Welcome to all of you. By attending this session, you will be able to understand more about household life, how a person has to lead a household life with all the various factors and concerns that go along with it. Please stay focused till the end of the session. My name is Srinivas Patnaik, and I am your host for today's session. On behalf of Vihangam Yoga Singapore team, I would like to extend our thanks to all the regular attendees of this session, newcomers, and our team members and their family who are here to join this session. For those who are not aware of Vihangam Yoga, let me introduce you a little bit. Vihangam Yoga is an organization that was started. Is an advanced in meditation training, uplifting human life in all aspects. It was established in the year 1924 by His Holiness Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj, who discovered this wonderful meditation technique after 17 years of strenuous meditation practice. Today, under the guidance of the present Sadguru, His Holiness Sri Swatantra Devji Maharaj, Vihangam Yoga has reached around 45 countries or more and has transformed life of more than 5 million disciples and followers. Our international headquarters is situated on the bank of Holy River Ganga in Allahabad in India. Amidst the global pandemic, Vihangam Yoga Singapore team has started daily online sessions of breathing exercises, pranayam, and meditation, as well as introductory sessions. More about these will be there later as we go down. Now, coming to the session of today. Today's agenda will take about an hour to complete. We will start the session by offering a prayer to the holy feet of Master, followed by a talk on the topic, which is, in literal translation, becomes the household saint, the person who is part of the household. We'll be introducing our speaker before the segment. We will have a Q&A session after the discussion, the speaker and the experts will be able to answer your questions if there are any. In the closing part, there will be a closing prayer and closing remarks, and we will move to the towards the close after that. So this is all about today's session. Before the session ends, you will have also more questions again if you have any Q&A about this particular topic or other things as well. So feel free to write in the chat box or wait till the Q&A session. We'll try our best to answer all your questions. So now let's start the session. First, we are going to offer a welcome song, a small prayer for world peace and prosperity in the holy feet of Master, and get the blessings for this session. The prayer will be displayed on the screen in Hindi and English. And Swagat Gan and Mangal Gan today will be done by me. जय सतगुरुदेव, स्वागत गान। आज स्वागत नित्य गुरु संत शुभागम आइए, अध्यात्म विद्या दिव्य ज्योति सोम रस बरसाइए। 1 second, the original sound is not. अध्यात्म विद्या दिव्य ज्योति सोम रस बरसाइए, दोष दुर्गुण दूर करके शुद्ध हंस बनाइए, वेद गम गति ज्ञान गर्जन शक्ति द्वार हटाइए, खुले द्वारा शब्द सागर भक्त जन अन्वाइए, जन सदा फल विश्व शिक्षक शान आन बचाइए। मंगलगान। विश्व शांति नाम मंगल परम गुरु को ध्याइए, वर्ग द्वंद्व अशांति दूर कर भाव भेद मिटाइए, सर्वभौम समष्टि सत्ता अध्यात्म राज्य बनाइए, भेष भाषा भाव जग में ज्ञान पर दर्शाइए, समृद्धि सुख शांति धरातल स्वर्ग भूमि बनाइए, विश्व शिक्षक जन सदा फल नीति स्वर अपनाइए। जय सद्गुरुदेव। We move on to the next session, next segment. Those who all have joined just now, we welcome you and extend our thanks for joining the session. Well, we move on to the next session, which is the talk of the day. While we have our speaker Subhash ji will be joining us shortly, he is kind of busy at the clinic because he got stuck out there. Subhash ji will be our main speaker for today. However, as we wait for Subhash ji to join, I will start the session with a little bit of introduction to the Swarved, how we are going ahead with these sessions of English satsang, and because the Swarved is in Hindi and most of us tend to think and read in English. I myself, I am more conversant with English. Now, that is why we thought of starting this session where we take one session with various topics that we've select. Now, if you go through the index of the Swarved, there are several areas. Each section is marked in the content section, which says, like if you go to even this fourth mandal, chapter 1 it says Brahm Vidya, chapter 2 says Sahaj Yog, 3 is Bhakti, Jnana, and likewise there are, you can easily go to any section that you would like to read and then go from there. The sections have meaning of each words as well as the explanation which is there in Hindi. Here what we try to do is to get the essence in these sessions and take it from there. In this particular section today, the topic of discussion is Grihast Sant. Like Swarved in its 4,000 odd couplets covers various sections, including the way of life, covers the studies of Vedas, Gita, everything is combined together. And if we read this one particular Granth, the Swarved, which we call it the constitution of spirituality, as you can see on the screen, is something which covers and encompasses everything that is there in the Swarved. Everything that is there in spirituality is covered here. Everything. In this particular section, if you in this particular mandal, Swamiji is covering various aspects, and this is the second aspect that he is covering, which is called the Grihast Sant. The earlier one, if I go back to the chapter 10, before that is basically talking about Sant, who is a saint. Before that we talked about Yogabhyas. So Sant is something which we tend to see as a saint, a person who has given up, a person who is detached, a person who is following the principles of Vihangam Yoga and doing as the principles and requirements are. In this particular chapter, which is the chapter 10 of Mandal 4, Swamiji is speaking about Grihast Sant, and he starts with the first doha, which is Duja Sant Grihast hai करे गृही महवास अंतर हरि अनुरक्त है अंतर प्रेम हुलास. Now he is talking about here is the Grihast Shrami, which is all of us we go through a phase of married life, a place where we take care of the family. Each person of the family has got a role to play as a parent, as a husband, as a wife. There are siblings. There is a complete dynamics of household which we tend to generally, I won't say discount, but take it for granted. So it is those people, what Swamiji says here is, what he is talking about as Grihast Sant are those people who, while continuing with their regular household activities, roles, continue to be with the Vihangam Yoga principles. Swamiji is mentioning about bhajan here again, and once again, just to make it clear, bhajan has been referred to here in Swarved as the principles of Vihangam Yoga. So people who are able to make both these things happen, following the Vihangam Yoga method, there are certain ways in which the Grihastha ashram can be led. And that is exactly what he is mentioning here, is such people who are taking care of their household affairs as well as being following the principles of Vihangam Yoga, they feel the internal love and peace, and they are constantly in the devotion for the Almighty, for the Param Prabhu. I mean, we all do live our own households. In each household has its own format, its own principles, own dynamics. One of the common factor that goes into all the households or household life is the first prime thing is to lead and make a living for all of us. So Okay, lucky we have Subhashji has joined, and I will hand over to Subhashji. Subhashji, as you all know, has been and is the pillar of our Vihangam Yoga in Singapore. He is a very busy person in his regular day-to-day life. He leads, he works on a big MNC as a director. He's a not only a long-term practitioner, he is also an authorized trainer for the Vihangam Yoga meditation, and he's a true disciple of Swamiji. His life is an inspirational journey for all of us, who is always showing path of the Vihangam Yoga to us, a truly dedicated, highly inspired, a true leader who leads from the front. So I would like to invite Subhashji to commence this session on Grihast Sant. Over to you, Subhashji. I'll start the slides once.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Srinivasji. Just make me co-host. I will share my slide, no problem.
Okay, you want to share the slides? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
One second.
ब्रह्मानन्दं परम सुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्मस्याधिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं त्वं नमामि। बार बार वंदन करूं सदगुरुदेव हमार, यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमा अपरंपार। शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ, हे गुरु बंदे छो मोहि बारो हे गुरु, यह सो बार निहो। आदि अंत और मध्य में शाश्वत जाको से, अमृतयंतरयामि हो। नमो नमो महादेव। My salutation to the feet of Master and pranam to all of you. Thank you very much for having me on this weekly discussion. In our today's discussion, we are going to talk about the household saint, Grihast Sant. In the next 35 to 40 minutes, our main point to focus on is household, the terminology household itself, Grihast. And of course, Sant, saint, will also be described along with that. And we have to understand these two terminologies, Grihast, the householder, and saint, Sant, differently and then combined as well. But before I start, let me, as usual, I want to come up with a specific story. And that story is of two friends. There are two friends from their childhood time. And one of them was the son of a king, and another one was the son of the Rajguru of that king. That means the priest, the main priest. And the sons of both of these two were very good friends during that time point. And they grown up as the time goes on. And thereafter, once they become a little bit more young and goes towards adulthood, they have gained their own capacity in their own form and moved in their life day to day. So it was obvious that the son of the king was having a different characteristic, and the son of the head priest had a different characteristic, genetically, as well as the whole environment in which they were growing. But very interestingly, as the time passed through, their characteristics switched over. What is the meaning of that? That means the son of the king, who should have been quite energetic in his day-to-day life, kind of ruling person, or maybe working in a hard and tough conditions as well. That should have been the characteristic of that son of the king. And the priest, the son of the priest, he should have more engrossed in literature, in different kind of scriptures. His routines should have been different and all those kind of things. But after some time point, once they entered the adulthood, their characteristic got switched over. Not everything, but yes, to larger extent, they switched with each other. In fact, not intentionally, but on their own. It happened that way. So we can say here that there is an impact, there is a condition in such a way that you are influenced by your companion, your friend, kind of thing. So the son of the king is influenced by the daily routine of the son of the head priest, and vice versa as well. That can be considered at that time. But interestingly, the son of the king is still son of the king, and the son of the head priest still remains the son of head priest. They are not switching their role as per se. It's just that some of the characteristics, or many of their characteristics, were switched with each other. So what happened after some time point, when the king wanted to declare his son as the next successor, he called for the whole people into his kingdom and he wanted to declare. But somebody told that king that you should have some kind of test for your son. Please don't declare your son as an immediate successor just like that. Otherwise, some people may pinpoint, how can it be? Just being a son of a king, is it really important thing that he should be the successor? It is true, but at least let's have it a grand basis in such a way that if the whole people of the kingdom can know and understand, yes, he is the real next successor. So let's have a test kind of thing. Okay, no worries. So the king declared for a test, and he said that it is not just my son who will pass through the test, but some other youngsters should also participate so that people can know how and where my son lies at, where his capacity and capability is. So test came through, and the way the son of the king has to perform, he did perform, and then he actually was declared as the successor of the king. But the twist here is, despite he was declared as the successor of the king, his daily routine was very different, very, very different. Although he was a courageous person, a fighter, born as like that family, and he was taking care of lots of people, helping them, solving their problems, just like as a king does. He used to do all those things, but his daily routine, his own daily routine, is very different from his father. His father's daily routine was very, very different, and this his son's successor's daily routine was very, very different. When he is on his own, he is not like as a king or son of a king. He is very, very simple person, his daily routine, and that comes from his daily routine itself. He is just like as a normal single person. What do I mean by that? I mean, he used to do all his work on his own. If we try to imagine about a king, then there are so many helpers working for the comfort of a king. For each and every single things, there is someone to help the king to do it. And in a way, king doesn't do anything on his own. This man, this boy was very different. He never allows any of his helper to perform any task for him. Neither for his clothes. He used to say, no, I'll do everything on my own. Neither for his cleaning the bed or anything. All his personal things he used to perform on his own. And not just that, he had kept a secret place for himself to do his own rituals as well. And he used to invest some time exclusively for himself, forgetting himself what he is, just doing his own specific task, those rituals just for himself. And probably no one knew about that. Why I'm telling this story is it doesn't matter where we are, in which family we are born, what our family is doing, which way our family daily routine is all about, the day most important thing for us, for our individual development, not just from outside, but from inside as well, then we would change. And that was basically coming from his friend. His friend means the son of the head priest, who used to tell stories from the scriptures, who used to tell the good things, what he used to read from different literature books and scriptures, which as a listener, this young boy during his young time was listening very carefully and tried to analyze. He was the son of a king, of course. His behavior, his thought process, his capability were altogether different. So, conclusively, what I want to say is wherever we are, of course, the environment around us puts impact on us. Our routine, our behavior, our day-to-day life definitely is driven by what is the environment around us. But the day we realize the reality, the day we realize the reality of our existence, from that time onward, for that person, everything becomes secondary and his full focus will be on that particular realization itself. Saints are of that type. They are also born somewhere in one family. It doesn't matter in a family of a saint or otherwise. They are born, they are driven by their environment around them, be it the family or the society or whichever way. But the day they realize the truth, the day they realize why do they exist, that everything changes. Everything. But still thereafter, right now, we are going to discuss about one of a specific chapter, and that chapter comes from Canto 4 and chapter 10 of Swarved, where Swamiji has mentioned few specific characteristics of one type of the saint, and that is householder saints. So it is very clear that it is not just householder saints which exist. There are two types of saints basically. One is householder saint who lives into a house with family and he is a householder. And another type of saint is who is not a householder, who lives in a secluded place. He doesn't live with a family. He lives alone. He lives probably with some of his friends of similar type, but he doesn't live in the family. Family means he doesn't have his wife, his mother, father, his kids, or anyone along with him. They are not actually with him. But the other type is a saint who lives in a household, means he's a householder saint. In this particular chapter of Swarved, Swamiji has described about the householder saint. Just previous chapter is about the other type of saint. So it is very much important for all of us to understand not just the characteristic of the saint of a householder, but the other one also. But primarily in this discussion, I'll be focusing more on the householder saint. So as I mentioned at the beginning time, we have to understand some of the terminologies. One is saint, another one is the household. What is the meaning of these two separately, and what is the meaning of these two when we combine it? So a saint, as I mentioned, saint, the sant. Swamiji has mentioned at one place in Swarved, संतन होते जगत में को जानत भगवान. संतन होते जगत में को जानत भगवान. कीट स्वान सम बीतता जीवन मनुज महान. The saint, the very simple definition of a saint is who is connected all the time with that supreme being. And he is the messenger for that supreme being. That person is considered as saint. And Swamiji also has mentioned in the previous chapter that anyone who is following a saint exactly in a similar way is also a saint. So anyone who is following a saint is also a saint. But the important thing we need to understand of the word saint, what is the meaning of saint? What is the meaning of sant? Who is called sant? Simple definition of sant is defined on the basis of his behavior, his outside behavior, his inner behavior, outside feeling, inside feeling, and the connectivity status of that particular person, means his soul, his consciousness with that supreme soul. That's it. So the very first definition, the characteristic of the definition is that person, the whom we are saying a saint, sant, should have a connectivity of his consciousness with that supreme being. That means he has experienced the presence of the supreme Brahm, supreme being, at a level of consciousness, just not on the basis of imagination, not on the basis of hearing something or just reading out something, not on that basis, but in reality he has experienced the presence of the supreme Brahm at a level of consciousness with its own connectivity. So that means the very first thing is he is an elevated one. What is the meaning of elevated one? The meaning of elevated one means he has changed his basis, or his basis has changed at a level of consciousness. Means he has now realized his own existence. That means he has realized the existence of the soul, and now his basis is soul itself. And then thereafter, he has realized and experienced the presence of the Supreme Soul as well. On the other hand, his thoughts, his feeling as well, and what he does in outside world also, all these three synchronize together. His feeling, his thoughts, and his activity and behavior outside. All these three sync with each other. If that is there for a person, this is the second characteristic of the saint. Rahani Gahani Sant ki Karani Vimala Vivek. In the first canto, first chapter itself, Swamiji has mentioned this about the sants, about saints. Rahani Gahani Sant ki Karani Vimala Vivek. So his way of living, his activities, his feeling, and his thoughts, everything should be synced with each other. If there is any difference in one of these compared to the other one, he is not a saint, he is not sant. The third characteristic comes on what is his way of life. How does he lead? He leads his daily routine, daily life. Swamiji has mentioned in this chapter and the previous chapter also what should be the daily routine, or what is the daily routine of sant, of a sant. Definitely he has to perform on a regular basis. He always takes out some time for himself. But this characteristic is especially for the one who is not a householder son. That means who is not living in a family. That means who is not living in a specific house. The other type of the son, He used to roam around at different places. He doesn't stay at just one place. Either he is roaming around in different secluded places, the mountains or the forests or some different places where no one basically comes. Usually his activity is secluded most of the time. Time to time, such kind of sons, such kind of saints, they come in front of the people, in front of society, just to teach them something very specific for some time, and then they again disappear from there on. So basically, that kind of son, they don't bother too much about the society. They are primarily practicing things, remain in their own way, secluded. That is one type of son. The another type is the householder son. Grihast son. What is the meaning of grihast? Grihast means the one who lives with the family. Family may be parents, family may be wife and children's, family may be other relatives also. That means he's not living secluded. He is living with people around him in a house. But such kind of people can also be sent. Such kind of people who lives into the household, they also can be sent. And in fact, that is one type of sent basically Swamiji has mentioned in this particular chapter. But we have to understand that not every householder is a saint. Every householder is not a saint. Not just that, not every saint is a householder also. So there is a saint which exists, so he can be a householder or he may not be a householder. But if there is someone who is a householder, that doesn't mean that he would be a saint for sure. And similarly, if there is a saint, that is not true that he would be a householder. So, householder saint is a separate, exclusive, different type of people who have characteristic of saint as well as characteristic of householder. That means such kind of people, they live in the family, they live in the society, but they are still saint. What does that mean? All those characteristics. That person still is connected, elevated. He has realized the existence of the soul. He has experienced the presence of the supreme soul as well. Number one characteristic. Number two characteristic is his feeling, his behavior, his thought process. They are synced together. So those characteristics will be there. Doesn't matter whether the saint is a householder saint or otherwise. That's how the definition of saint is. The only difference is now that that saint is living in the household. Now you can imagine in a very simple way that how difficult the life of a householder saint is. The one who is roaming around outside, yes, he may not be having that kind of comfort, physical comfort probably, but he is living his life very differently. His trouble, mental trouble, or probably a trouble of handling people around him is not there. It doesn't exist at all. He's just living on his own. Whereas the householder saint, he has a dual role. He has a dual role. He has to perform and continue his journey as a saint. But on the other side, he has to fulfill the responsibilities. He has to still remain connected one way or another into the society also. It is so difficult task for any saint who is a householder saint. But interestingly, there is no difference between, in a way, difference between householder saint and the other saint. In a way, it is the same thing. It's just that the living style is different. And that's what Swamiji has mentioned in Swarved, in this particular chapter, that antar tyag virakt hai, bahar sakal pasar, padma patra jal sang rahe, ve nirlep sansar. What is the meaning of this? There are few terminologies which Swamiji has used here. Antar tyag. Tyag means sacrifice or no attachment. Vairagya, basically. Virakta also is used. Antar means from inside. Padma patra jala sangrah. Padma is nothing but it's called lotus. Patra is the leaf. So what Swami is mentioning here that those householder saints are just like as they are living their life just like as the leaf of a lotus. What is the characteristic of the leaf of a lotus? The lotus itself is into a water. It is into the water, right? And the leaves of the lotus floats on the water. When the rain is happening, then the water, of course, falls on the leaves. And sometimes when different birds or any creature inside the water, they do some movement, some of the water from the pond or wherever the lotus is, they go on the leaves as well. But interestingly, the leaves are created in such a way, they have been created in such a way that the drops of the water doesn't stay on the leaves of the water of the lotus. They don't stay there. They will simply slip down. Whereas if you look at some other type of leaves, whichever leaves we talk about, if the water drops on the leaf, they absorb a little bit of water from the top also. But the leaf of a lotus has a different characteristic. They don't get affected by the water either from the top or even from the bottom. Although the whole bottom is touching the water, but that doesn't affect the leaf, the backside of the leaf. Otherwise, the leaf of the lotus will simply be destroyed. But the leaf of water doesn't destroy, despite being into the water throughout the time. That's what Swamiji is mentioning here, that a householder saint, they always remain into the society. They are into the Maya. They are into the world of this Maya. They are into the world. They are performing everything as a normal people do, as a normal person does every time. But he remains just like as a leaf of a lotus remains. The Maya doesn't touch the householder saint. It doesn't touch means it doesn't impact anyway. There is no impact of the whole world, whichever way the things are happening around him. It doesn't impact him. From inside, he's always connected. From inside, he's always detached. So how anything outside can impact that person? Cannot. That is one of the characteristic of the householder saint. And what Swamiji mentions very interestingly, Jo Maya sab jag thage, tahi thage wah sant, thagni jo thag thagat hai, so grihast mamasant. So what Swamiji is mentioning here, that the Maya, the whole world, the illusion is in such a way that everyone is being cheated by it. You can't win over it. But a householder saint is very interestingly different compared to any other type of people. The Grihastha Sant, the householder saint, he has done his own effort in such a way that he himself cheats the Maya, which means that the Maya doesn't impact, the whole world doesn't impact this householder saint. And that is the beauty of the householder saint, who remains into that part, but that part doesn't impact. Any part of that part doesn't impact this householder saint. Basically, that saint has created a shield around himself or herself. A very different kind of shield. It's a transparent shield. He can, from inside or from this side, he can see, he can understand, he can connect from this side. But from that side, If somebody wants to do the connectivity, if somebody wants to make impact, somebody wants to do some impact on him, he's covered. He cannot be impacted. That's the quality of the householder saint. Swamiji has given a very unique example, very, very unique example. When I used to read Swarved, I have observed, and Swamiji has mentioned this in Swarved at a couple of places also, that to make people understand about the experience of spirituality or how some of the things are functioning in the world of spirituality, the yogis, the saints, they pick up some examples from day-to-day life. Do you know why? Because those people who are not yet elevated, those people who still have to learn, they are going through the journey still, how would they understand things which they have not yet experienced? So that's why the rishis, the saint, they pick up examples from the day-to-day life, which someone can connect very easily, very easily. But I think I have to mention it here very clearly that many a times at many a places it has been observed that people, normal people, they remember those examples only, but they forgot the originality, why and from where that example has come. The very, very fine example for this, I remember right now is, I want to quote that, and that is in India, there is a place called Sangam in Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh. In fact, very near to the bank of that place, we have our main center also, Jhushi Ashram, which is the international center of Vihangam Yoga also. So that Sangam is created, designed by whoever has designed the Almighty in such a way that there are three rivers which connect at one point, at one place basically, and that place is called Sangam, the conjunction, and they are called the river Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So Ganga and Yamuna, Ganges and Yamuna, they meet, and one can see that, okay, from this side Ganga is coming, this side Yamuna is coming, and Saraswati, people say that it comes underneath, means down below the, the floor, below the mud, etc., and then it meets at the same place. People say that if you take a dip, if you take a dip, if you take a bath, at that place where these three rivers meet, all of your sins will be washed out. People mostly know Sangam like that only. That it is such a secluded place, it is such a unique place, such a unique point that it doesn't exist anywhere in this world. And if you take a dip there, all of your sins, everything, your all bad virtues and everything will be washed out in that particular point. But this is not a true fact. True fact is something else. The true fact is that there are three specific veins inside this body. One is called Ingla, Pingala, and Shushmana. So Ingla and Pingala are going through parallel to these two nostrils, right and left, and Shushmana goes through the spine. And all these three meet at the center of this skull. And that place itself is the place where people say the Kundalini is there. The 10th door is there. Once, and these three are meeting. So two are visible, third one is not visible. So when somebody, the practitioner, brings his consciousness, if a person, a practitioner, is able to bring his consciousness to that center, to that point, the 10th door, and continuously through his regular practice, a force is created to open that door. Once that door is opened, during that process of opening that door, the practitioner feels like that whole of his body is wet, just like as he has taken a dip into a river. And that experience is so soothing that it cannot be explained just in word. And indeed, if that 10th door is open, that means the place where these three rivers, in a way, three veins are meeting, Ingala, Pingala, and Shushmana, if that is opened, then indeed, then you reach out to the level of the soul, self-realization, and at that time point, indeed, you are eligible for washing out all of your bad virtues and all the bad characteristics, whatever you are carrying at that time point. When rishis try to explain this to people, they will not be able to understand, probably because they are not elevated one to understand what is happening here. That's how they give an example outside about that Sangam, where Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati meets. If you take a dip, all of your sins and all of your bad virtues will be washed out. And that's how that became more popular. But what happens nowadays is people have forgotten that originality, how the rishis used to say for what, and they just remember this Sangam of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So saints, rishis, maharshis, they used to give example of things outside in the world so that people can understand, relate the experience of spirituality with what is happening, or what is, if there is something outside or not. And that's how Swamiji has been giving. He has given a lot of example connected with our day-to-day life so that normal people can understand and relate what exactly Swamiji had the experience of his spirituality during his own time. So here, he has given another example along with the example of that leaf of the lotus. He is giving another example for the household saint. He's saying, "Meen ek dal dal rahe, wako dal dal nahi, aur jaye phas marat hai, त्यों rahasya janama." So he's saying that there is a very, very unique and special fish is there. There exists a fish, very unique and special fish, which can still be alive into a mud. Okay, or there are different, there is a different type of mud also. There is one mud, I'm sorry, I don't remember the English meaning of daldal. Maybe sometime I'll tell again. But it is a place where if you go, you start sinking inside it, and that's it. So no one actually can come out on their own. But Swamiji is mentioning that there exists one fish which can swim into that type of mud as well. But if other fish goes into that place, or any other creature or animal goes into that particular mud, they will sink down and they will die simply. But this specific fish remains there and can swim and come out on its own. The impact of that mud is not on that fish. It has a very unique technique based on which it can go there and come out also on its own. No problem at all. But others, if they go there, they will just be trapped and sink down and die. So this is an example for which Swamiji has given for a householder saint. That mud is nothing but this whole universe, this whole place where we live, this whole society, the world itself, where if somebody comes into, they just sink. It's an illusion. It's a problem for many people. But the saint, the householder saint, is very different. He has a unique technique. He is special in such a way that he remains there, he goes there, he swims there and come out on his own. The mud would not impact him. The people around him, the whole world, nothing will impact him at all in any way. He is on his own. Although from outside, if somebody sees him, he will look like as a normal person, but from inside, he's so different. He's so different that people cannot impact him at all in any way. Anyway, and similarly, Swamiji has given another example. Bajigar ahi sang rache, vyapak vishna soy, yukti bhed vigyan ka tyon grihast jana hoy. He's giving an example of a snake and the one who catches the snake. A person who catches the snake and keeps lots of snake with him, he has a very unique technique. He has a very unique technique. Two techniques basically. One is to catch the snake, and another is if the snake bites him, then no impact will happen to him because he has a very unique kind of medicine or unique kind of Ayurvedic something is there which he keeps with himself, or used to eat time to time, so that the poison of the snake will not work on him. It's an antidote kind of thing. So a householder saint is similar to that person who catches that snake, those kind of snakes. Even if the snake bites him, means even if the people in the society tells a lot of things to him, try to impact him, try to disturb him, he has an antidote in such a way that nothing impacts him. And that antidote is the life of the saint itself, connectivity with the Supreme Brahm. His outside, inside feeling, thoughts, everything is same, no impact, because he has understood that there is nothing left here. I'm just here because of one specific reason. That's it. Otherwise, I'm not for here. I'm something else. I'm doing something else actually. So he has his own objective based on which he performs, and he's not impacted by anything here and there. He is not engrossed in the sense organs, the objects and subjects of the sense organs. He is not attracted by anything outside, because he has already connected himself with that ultimate one, the supreme one. And that's why his mind will always be focused in one thing, nothing outside. If there is anything which is happening outside, he is just doing it, performing, finish it. He's not engrossed into it. He's not attached to it. If it is there, fine. Not there, fine. No problem at all. He has his own routine. He continues his bhajan. He continues his devotion throughout the time. And one of the specific characteristic of a saint is, which is a subsidiary of continuous connectivity with that supreme being, is continuously doing the bhajan. Bhajan is something which is not done just by this mouth. Usually people think that bhajan means we are singing something by this mouth or singing something at heart. No, bhajan is not just that. Here, bhajan means he is continuously remembering that Almighty. Continuously from inside. His soul is continuously remembering that Almighty. Why? Because the soul, the consciousness of the soul is connected already with that Supreme Soul. So he's always remembering. And that is his most important continuous daily routine which he performs. No matter what happens outside, that link is never broken. He doesn't do anything in such a way that that link is broken. And that's why he's such a dedicated person. He's such a determined person that the Maya, the illusion, the Prakriti, the different people around him, they cannot do anything to him. Even Maya itself, the illusion itself, is helpless in front of the household. They can't do anything. It can't do anything. The aura of the household saint is so huge that bad people, bad things, bad condition, situation cannot even shake him. Cannot. That's the power of the householder saint. I again want to repeat here, not every householder is a saint. Not every householder is a saint, and not every saint is a householder. The definition and characteristic of a saint is very different. In today's world, day-to-day life, many people say, "Acha, wo to bahut bade sant hai." Okay, it's fine. Means that person said that, oh, that person is a great saint. Fine. But in a way, in my opinion, it's an insult of saying ineligible people that, oh, he's a very great saint. Cannot say. We cannot say that. Definition of saint is very different, which in today's world, we have just taken it very loosely, lightly. It should not be. It should not be. But we would do that only once we know the real definition of saint itself. Not everyone is a saint. Not every elevated person is a saint. No, it is not. It is not. The characteristic and definition of a saint is very different compared to a person who is a very nice person, who is elevated one. Still, he is not a saint. Saint has a very different characteristic, very different property in together. And that's why Swamiji is mentioning in this particular chapter one specific thing. Manavachakaya karmana sadguru sharanadhin ananya bhava siddhantarata seva man lovely. A saint is always surrendered to the eternal master. Always. If somebody has to become a saint, if somebody has to convert himself or herself to the saint, his mind, his voice, speech, his body, all of his activity, behavior, everything should be under the guidance of the master itself, the eternal master. Everything. Everything has to be under the guidance of the Sadguru. That person, the household saint, should always be working, performing under the guidance of the Sadguru. He has to perform his seva continuously towards the Sadguru. Otherwise, that Maya is always there. That householder saint is powerful only because he is under the guidance of the Sadguru. Otherwise, it is not possible. And this is a universal truth. Whether we understand this or don't, that is different thing. A Sadguru can make infinite saints. It's the Sadguru who has the capability to create as many as saints possible. That means if there is anyone who is a saint, who is a sant, that person has been created by the Sadguru himself. Whether that is an eternal master, eternal Sadguru, or Swayamasiddha Sadguru, or Abhyas Sadguru, or Parampara Sadguru. Any of these. But ultimately, the power of Sadguru is the same, and Sadguru only can create some saints. Many things we don't know because we know many things about just what we have heard, what we have learned from a book kind of thing. But that's why we always recommend to read out Swarved. We call it the constitution of spirituality. We call it the encyclopedia of spirituality, which answers you everything on the basis of the experience, the real experience itself. So one should always try to find some time to read out Swarved, to just analyze, do the brainstorming things, and experience it. Whatever has been mentioned in Swarved by Swamiji. मन माया की चाल में भूल पड़े सब जीव गुरु बिनु सो नहीं लखी परे किमि पावे निजती. The whole world, everyone is just engrossed into the activities of this world, activities of the mind, activities of the Maya. Everyone is just into that. They have not realized the reality unless and until that Guru, the Sadguru, blesses you, unless and until that Sadguru gives you something and makes you realize. It is very difficult for any person, any life, any soul to realize the real existence of anything and everything. And that's why the ultimate thing is to surrender yourself to the Master, surrender yourself to the Sadguru. Find the Sadguru. Find it. Go to that Sadguru. Surrender yourself. Then only if the Sadguru blesses you for something, then only something will happen to you. Few things here and there may happen, but ultimately we have to surrender to the Sadguru. Otherwise, it is very difficult. The Maya, the mind, everything is so vast around us that we are part of it. We are just a tiny part of it. We cannot come out from it on our own. It has never been possible for anyone and would not be possible for anyone. And that's why separately the eternal master exists to take those eligible ones to take them out from this web of the Maya, the web of everything, anything which has been created as an illusion. Illusion doesn't mean that nothing exists. Everything exists, but for mind, on the basis of mind. Our reality is something else. So in this chapter, what Swamiji has tried to highlight for householder saint is about their characteristic, what they are, who they are, how do they perform, how they are different from the other saint. The most important characteristic of householder saint is they remain into the society, they remain among the people, but they are disjointed, they are detached, they are not being impacted by anything in and out because they are always connected. Their consciousness is always connected with that supreme being. They do a dual role. From inside, they are different in the sense their activity is different, and outside, they are performing their day-to-day life, simply just those things which are very much necessary to remain in this body, necessary to remain in the society, and that is also happening under the guidance of the master, Sadhguru itself. If the guidance is not there, it would not be possible for it. We have to realize all these things. These are the things which are not just to talk about. These are the things which are not just to listen about. These are the things which we need to perform. How do we find ourselves at a position that we are able to perform? To realize all these things, we must meditate on a daily basis. Without meditation, without practice of meditation, it is very, very difficult. So meditation, satsang means right now the discussion which we are doing, and seva, sadhana, satsang, and seva. The meditation, the discussion about the truth, and the service to the master. These are the only three pillars based on which you can realize the reality of the existence of self and the supreme self. If you really want to connect with yourself, if you really want to connect with the supreme being, first you need to connect yourself in and out, for which meditate daily, surrender yourself to the master, and then see the beauty of the life. You don't have to leave your current family members. You don't have to go out from this society and go to a mountain or a forest to lead a life of a yogi. Need not. That's what Swamiji has mentioned in this particular chapter, that despite being into the society, despite being into the family, one can still perform the activities of the saint. And that kind of saint are called householder saint. Swamiji himself is a great example of this, that he had his own family. The current master also has his own family. Everyone is there, but altogether different. The Maya, the society doesn't impact because he is throughout connected. Saints are different. Sadguru is different. As I mentioned, Sadguru makes a lot of saints. And among those many saints, so Eternal Master creates lots of saints. Among those many thousands or millions of saints or billions of saints, one very unique saint would be there who would carry the power of that Eternal Master, and that Sadguru, that saint will be called as Bhyasa Siddha Guru, means the one who has achieved everything on the basis of practice, and the Eternal Master has given his power to that unique saint who will carry the power of the Sadguru. Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj is one such saint, unique one out of millions of saints. So out of millions or billions of people, one saint appears. And among millions or billions of saints, one Sadguru is created. And then that Sadguru creates further Sadguru based on the eligibility. So you can see the chain and the vastness of the power of the Sadguru and the saint itself. Keep the journey on, learn everything, surrender yourself to the master. Then only we would experience and learn things, what the saint is, what is household saint. Unless and until we get the blessings from master, unless and until we surrender ourselves to the master, the journey of our own life right now, which we are leading to, will continue the way it is. The journey of vicious cycle of birth and death will continue on its own. We must realize why we are here. What is the real objective? And again, I'm repeating, we don't have to leave our current world. We don't have to kick out our family, or we have to be kicked out from our family to perform towards being eligible to become a saint. We still can perform and do things, still being in the society and the family. And that is called Grihast San. That's all from my side today. Thank you very much. Jai Sadguru.
Thank you, Subhashi. Your talks and segments are always very insightful and informative. It was very important to understand and get this conception clear that while you continue to be in the household, you can continue with your activities And that has been effectively emphasized in this particular chapter. Thank you so much for throwing light onto that and making a few more things very clear in your explanations and descriptions. Anybody has any questions and answers, you may please unmute or write in the chat box, or anything you want to add, you may please use this opportunity to say.
Jai Shri Sadgurudev. Hello.
Sujata ji, please go ahead.
I have one question.
Please go ahead.
As Subhash ji told that family's duties, with family duties, we can do everything. So I'm trying my best because there are so many things going on from few months. So as one day I was talking to Subhash ji, and then Subhash ji take out time, and then he was said, that day I was actually very, very upset. Some incident happened, but suddenly Subhash ji called, but I could not share with him what happened. But the same time when he was talking to me, I feel so comfortable and I feel so strong. And then my husband enter, and then I cannot talk to him, and he was keep on asking. Maybe Subhash ji no, 2 times he asked me when I was talking to. So then I have to say, sorry Subhash ji, I will talk to you another day. So this, in this situation, like I want to do, and I'm trying my best to do, and I am doing, like whenever I'm getting time, I'm doing meditation, also some exercise, whatever, pranayam and all. But kabhi kabhi sometimes this cannot do. So in this situation I'm feeling very bad. Oh my god, like Subhash, like aap mujhe puch, you also ask me, but I have to say no, because in the family so many things going on. Like today I supposed to get call from USA 10:30 to 11:30, they give time. So I told you, Srinivas ji, sorry. So mujhe, like I feel very bad कि मैं no बोलती हूँ, but I want to do, but the same thing is happening, like how Subhash ji told me, like just now in the satsang he explained. So in this situation I have to feel bad, or I have to do what? क्या करना चाहिए मुझे?
Subhash ji.
Thank you, Sujata ji, for bringing this point. So this is just about yesterday when I called Sujata ji. Sujata ji, thank you very much for picking up the call also at that time point. So since you have asked this question, so let me a little bit elaborate on that side. So it's not that adverse conditions and situations would not come in front of us. Everyone face that. Just to give you an example, even for myself, just today's condition, some of us probably know about that because I sent it into the WhatsApp group also. I knew that today we have a satsang starting from 11. Unfortunately, my younger son, is not well. They have returned from India just yesterday morning, and he's having fever, cough, and running nose, and all those kind of things. Okay, so we decided to take him to the doctor. In fact, my other family members are also not keeping well still. So I took him to the doctor in the morning. After our morning sessions, I reached to the doctor at around 8:45. But I was told that there is a long queue, and maybe after an hour you have to come back again. Okay, take the queue number. Okay, I took. So the time when I went there, the number was going as 6. I returned back with my son and then went back again and checked alone after 1 hour what is the running situation. Then I saw that it's 13. So that means still after 1 hour, only 7 patients were seen. So now if I do my arithmetics, so on an average basis, from my number was 25. So from 13 to 25 was 12 more. That means if I take the same time gap, then 7 or 8 more will be taken care by the doctor in next 1 hour. That means by 10:45 or 10:50. And then also it will be only 20. Still thereafter 5 patients. And then my turn will come, our turn will come. That means from 10:45 to definitely 45 minutes more at least. So it will be definitely 11:30. And then from there to come home 10 minutes more, 11:40. Then I need to come to the laptop to sit. It will take 2, 3, 5 more minutes, 10:40, 11:45. By then, the time of satsang is gone. What do I do? My wife cannot go because she is also not keeping well. She cannot go outside right now. She's not in that position. Elder son is also not that good. Fine, but I cannot leave my younger son to take him to doctor. Maid also cannot. So it's just me, right? So what should I do? Sujata ji, if I ask you, what should I do in this situation?
I can understand, Subhashji, your situation. And then there is in Indian thinking and Indian man, if man is involved in anything, I don't know. And then female, like I'm an Indian lady, and then you are an Indian
So
man.
my point here is, no, I don't want to go in that one, Sujata ji. My point here is, I have a situation and condition in such a way that I cannot ignore not to go to doctor. I have to, only I have to take it. And I know I have to be with doctor till 11:40. And I have a responsibility for the satsang also, because it has been declared, it has been told that I'm going to be the speaker. And when it was decided yesterday, that was not the condition. We believe that even if we have to go to the doctor thing will be finished by 10 o'clock. It's okay, fine, no problem. But when the time comes, it becomes completely adverse. What should I do? Of course, it is not in my hand. Neither I can control the doctor, right? And nor there is a condition position that I tell that satsang should be postponed, or I even I don't want that someone else now in the last moment come and do some effort and prepare and do satsang, because it was my responsibility, right? But the point is, I'm incapable for doing any of these two. I cannot, because I'm stuck with the doctor. Family condition is something else, and everything is important. I cannot push my family for that because it's my responsibility. I cannot push the doctor because I'm completely away from that. I don't have that authority, and I cannot change anything here in the satsang also. I had only one way. I had only one remedy. I had only one solution. And that solution is very unique, which I always used to do whenever I am in that kind of condition, in that kind of situation. And that is, very, very interestingly, I don't do anything, just take the name of Swamiji.
Okay.
I'm literally telling you, I'm going to exactly do the same thing right now in front of all of you. What I do, I just say, Prem se bole Sagudev Bhagwan ki jai. And that's it. And that's it. Iteratively, I say 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I mean, no one hears it outside. I'm saying it inside itself. But it is a simple way that I'm surrendered, even in this condition. I don't know, because this is not in my situation, not in my hand to do anything or anything, because I'm incapable to handle this situation. Now you show me the path, and I leave it just at that point itself. Let the thing happen, whichever it happens. Believe me.
Okay.
Believe me, so far, never ever has happened that after doing that, I am in dilemma. Never ever has happened that the way things had happened, it has not happened. Never ever has happened that I'm still stuck at that time. Do you know what happened at the doctor place? When I went again that time, I went to the doctor again at 10:30 to check where the current status is. The doctor said, you have to wait. Still, you have to wait. I said, okay. But very interestingly, our turn came relatively faster. In fact, I am telling you, I had to go for, not me, my son had to go through the test also, for COVID test also, including all those time, everything inclusive. Despite our turn was for 25, we completed everything by 11:05. It's not in my hand. I didn't do anything. I didn't go and request anyone there. I was just sitting there. Whatever has happened, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me also. What it matters to me, that I completed my full responsibility about the family under that difficult condition and situation, and I'm here with you exactly from 11:15. If somebody would have noticed that, which I had told that I'll be able to reach by 11:15. Although I had doubt, I don't know whether I'll be able to reach or not based on arithmetic calculation before I went to the doctor at that time point, at the last moment. But it happened that way. So here, under your condition, under your situation, I can understand the condition of a male person and a female person. I can understand. And I have seen so many people, so many ladies, so many different friends and family members in the same condition, same situation. I can fully understand that. My point is, please pray to the Master, pray to the Sadguru, surrender yourself to that. And surrendering and praying to the Master doesn't mean that you don't do anything thereafter. It doesn't mean that when I prayed and surrendered to everything, it doesn't mean that I did not do anything. I did. I still had full intention that I have to take my son to the doctor and make that happen. And also I had intention that I have to come to the satsang to let it run. So the effort definitely has to come from our side. But at the same time, in the backside, if you continuously pray and don't expect that it should happen all the time, every time in the same way, because it depends on person to person also. It depends on where one person is, but ultimately the journey has to be continued on that basis. So what my suggestion is that if at any one particular time such kind of condition comes, with a pure heart, this is very important sentence, with a pure heart, just at that moment, surrender to the Master. Master, I'm saying, surrender to the Sadguru, pray to him, and then proceed on that basis, and that's it. Even for a testing point of view you want to do, try to do it. But don't test him. Test yourself where you are. I'm saying that testing. Just for the testing point of view, just try to do. It's my belief, it's my own experience that the Master never let anyone go empty hand for anything, ever. So please try on that line. There are so many different examples. I know Podarji is here, Chandanji is here, I'm here, if Omji is here also. We have all different kind of experiences. Srinivasji also might have different kind of experiences. Padmajaji might have different kind of experiences. So we all have to go through different experiences to form our belief, to form our own choice of the activity. Definitely. Again, I'm repeating, I can very well understand the condition of a lady in a house and a male in a house. I can very well understand. But I also believe that ladies are much more powerful on such kind of things compared to male. And the voice is heard by the Master much more easier compared to the voice of the male. Why? Because the female have probably, or that female or any other female, I believe, if they are in this condition, they have suffered more. Those who have suffered more, their condition is altogether different and their purity is altogether different. It's just that you have to be in that particular form, and that's.
Thank you, Subhashji. That is 100%. The day I started Vihangam meditation and yoga with all of you, with the blessings of Guruji, I am doing much, much better in all the ways. Like whatever I was doing, I'm doing much, much better now. Like sometimes I also have to speak up because I have different situation in the families I can now handle. And then I'm always telling Sadhguru, like as you told me, if I have a problem, so I have kept photo, and then surveyed and all, I'm doing. So, but only the thing sometimes cannot join. Last time I was very regular, and then now if I'm doing, and then if I someone say to me something, then I feel very bad. But I still trying. So that's why I asked this question. But I will always obey what you said, and I will keep on doing.
Thank you,
That,
Sujata ji. There is one more thing I'd like to remind everyone, which my attention went when recently Srinivasi sent me a snapshot, and that snapshot is of our own core group, and I noticed that, which actually was put by one of us only. If you go in our WhatsApp core group, okay, and if you go in the description in that group, the very first line is mentioned: Vihangam yoga needs sacrifice. Let's
yes,
serve the master by offering our service. Seva, satsang, sadhana, and Swarved are the main pillars. This is mentioned in the description of our own WhatsApp core group. The very first sentence: Yangam yoga needs sacrifice. It is very, very important to choose where, what we are sacrificing. This is our own choice. This is our own decision based on which we have to lead our life.
ठीक है. Yes.
Thank you, Sujata ji.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Subhash.
Thank you, Sujata ji, for raising that query, which is a very, very, very valid and in conjunction with the topic of the day, it was very valid. Thank you so much for raising that issue. I'm sure it has enlightened all of us listening and all those who would listen on the Facebook now or later. We move on to the next session. Yes, thank you very much, Subhash ji. Can't say thank you in spite of all the situations and your standing example of handling the household as well as being the saint, being in the devotion part. It's a balance that, as you have mentioned in a very right manner, that if you surrender, things will fall in place, especially the things which are outside. Thank you so much for taking and putting the intention of being here with us today, and you made it happen. Very insightful. Thank you very much, Chandanji, for last minute coming out and helping me with the slides, with the Zoom. Omji is caught up somewhere. Thank you all for being here and making this happen. Swarved, I cannot stress less. Please continue to read Swarved on a daily basis, 2 shlokas, 3 shlokas, whatever you can, please read. Topic-wise also you can read. Whatever I say is less about Swarved, please continue to read. Let's move over to the last segment now. And I invite Sujata ji to do the Shanti part.
Jai Shri Sadgurudev. Shanti Path. विराग त्याग की शांति हो, उदासीनता शांति, सेवा चित शिषय शांति हो, सत्य शांति हो शांति। ये प्रभु शांति स्वरूप हो, शांति शांति में शांति, शांति शांति जन शांति हो, पूर्ण शांति में शांति। हे प्रभु शांति प्रदान कर, दूर हो सर्व अशांति, देव सदा फल शांति में, शांति शांति सुख शांति, शांति शांति सुख शांति। जय श्री सतगुरुदेव।
Thank you, Sujata ji, for the Shanti part. Daily activities and are all very clear. Please do visit the website as well, as in when you get a chance. All the information is very detailed, mentioned there. Meditation practice timings are there on the slide here. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And on weekends, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Swarved reading is done daily and the 6 a.m. meditation session just after the meditation. Please do join, and thank you very much for being here. We have extended by 30 minutes, but thank you so much for your patience. Thank you all for today. Bye and have a safe stay.